non-otaku.
So I'm very curious to try and understand why the top hero would have that kind of appearance and image. To whom is that appearance the best hero?
Welcome back to 2AM OTTACK. I'm your host Mayu, a born and raised Japanese non-otaku, and
I'm Cisco, an American otaku.
In this podcast, we share our reviews of anime and the manga through our distinct perspectives with commentary on Japanese culture, history, and language. Cisco.
Yeah.
We started watching a whole new type of hero anime yesterday.
That's true.
It started airing on Fuji TV, and now it's streaming online. Now, this anime took the airing time and day for One Piece.
So it replaced One Piece's usual slot.
One Piece was running for the same spot for 19 years.
My God.
Also, this anime has lots of great seiyuu, so I'm really excited about to talk about it.
All right.
Before we start, make sure to subscribe and follow 2AM OTTACK on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music, and YouTube too. All right, Cisco, could you tell us what To Be Hero X is about?
Sure. So the story follows a young man who's working at an ad company and produces advertisements featuring heroes in a society that's got like a whole bunch of ranked heroes, kind of One Punch Man style. And he gets fired and is contemplating suicide when one of the heroes he's just produced an ad for, a hero named Nice, walks right past him off the ledge and commits suicide first. So pretty dark opening. He then gets found by Nice's management team, who insist that he take Nice's place because they look kind of similar. And as soon as he starts adopting Nice's role, he actually gets Nice's powers and fits essentially right in. There's a scene where he's supposed to be with Nice's girlfriend, who he's already in love with, who's another superhero, and they do a sort of dating show that he surprisingly manages to kind of bluff his way through as Nice. The guy who's doing the dating show is another hero whose talents are about getting people to tell the truth, and that guy suspects he's not really the hero Nice. So he kind of defeats him by not getting caught in a lie, and then his boss appears in battle armor powered by fear. I think mostly fear of getting fired or of the company being destroyed. They have a short battle sequence. He beats up his old boss. It's pretty satisfying. And then in the subsequent episodes, he starts living Nice's life, which involves doing sort of pre-scripted battles with other villains and saving the girl. Eventually, though, she decides she kind of wants out of the hero life, so they fake her death. She travels to an island to like live the rest of her life, I guess, like as a regular person. He starts trying to move up the hero charts, and the guy he defeated in the first episode by successfully lying about who he was turns evil, gets a bunch of power from fear, and comes back to try to expose him as not really Nice. And in the middle of that fight, he admits that he's not in fact the hero Nice and says he's just a regular guy, but then starts fighting and manages to defeat him anyway. Sorry, that was a lot of summary.
Okay, thank you. So the first thing I noticed was this is 3D computer graphic animation with 2D battle scenes.
Yeah. Not all of the battle scenes are 2D, and not all of the 2D parts, they don't cover the whole battle sequences, but there are often 2D parts embedded in the 3D animation during the sort of peak of the fighting.
Yeah. So I'm not familiar with 3D computer graphic animation, so I felt a little bit strange about it because I'm not used to it.
Sure.
And the main character so far, Nice, looks like a Disney prince to me. Like very slender and a good,
influenced by Disney
handsome, and then
cape, all white clothing and hair.
Yeah, so it reminded me of Disney like character. But as we watched 4 episodes, and as we, watched, I got kind of used to the 3D animation.
Yeah, it kind of grows on you. Yeah. And it's well done, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And the 2D part is, I still don't know why they decided to make it 2D.
I agree. The 2D part feels much more cartoony.
It's like American cartoon, like.
It has, I don't know that I would go that far, but it it has very, very thick lines, and it doesn't really look anime style. It's somewhere in between Japanese animation and American animation. It's very vibrant colors. It's a lot of like sort of whooshy effects and stuff, right? Yeah, it's a weird choice to transition to traditional 2D animation in those moments, especially because the 3D animation is so clean. And then the 2D animation is so like almost kidsy, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah. So this anime, To Be Hero X, is a China-Japanese original donghua series and the third season of the To Be Hero anthology franchises.
Yeah, so there apparently was a first season of To Be Hero, which I've only read the plot summary for, but which sounds kind of low-key awful. And then they made a sequel called To Be Heroine, about which I can find almost no information on the internet, but which sounds, again, if I'm being honest, even worse than the first season. And they were pretty spaced out. The first one was 2016. The second one's 2018. This third edition is now 7 years later. Like, that's a long time to go before making a follow-up. And this one seems, just from the first 4 episodes, much better than the first 2, at least in terms of its story and seriousness.
So, like I said at the beginning, this anime premiered on Fuji Television and other channels on April 6th. 2025. But before this show aired on Fuji TV, One Piece was on the slot.
Why do we think they moved it?
I Googled it and tried to find a reason. I think one reason is that spot, Sunday morning, 9:30 to 10, it's like, it's not for all of Japan broadcasting. It's like local, some locals stations, but One Piece was moved to Sunday like night, like 11:15 to 11:45, which is all Japan broadcasting.
And do you think it's because they feel like the story of One Piece is getting more mature and they need to like put it late at night or something?
Like a lot of animes broadcast at night.
That's true.
So that's big, I think. Like, if people who used to watch One Piece on TV every single Sunday on the slot, now has to move to another slot, and then To Be Hero X
for sure
right there. Yeah. Also, there's so many like great S-rank seiyuu in this anime.
I just like that you're calling them S-rank seiyuu.
Right. I'm
like,
trying
who's
to
in the A rank but not the B rank and not the S rank? Okay.
I'm trying to be like otaku.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good try.
So Nice is the main character so far, played by Natsuki Hanae, Tanjiro. His name is on the bottom of the seiyuu list.
Right. He's the least famous person.
Not the least, but like, I was like, why he's the least? Because he's a main character so far.
Right.
And the top of the list is X by Miyano Mamoru, who's a like Steins Gate guy.
So cool.
Okaru. Yeah. And the next one is Queen by Hanazawa Kana, who's like Mayushi.
Okay.
Right? And then
hey, anytime you've got Steins Gate voice actors, you know it's going to be kind of a good thing.
Right, those combinations. There are also like Uchiyama Koki from Jujutsu Kaisen, Nakamura Yuichi, Badeni, a lot of other stuff. Jujutsu Kaisen too, I think. And Matsuoka Yoshitsugu from Witch Watch, Ayane Sakura, she does a lot of Ameku or like a lot of stuff. And Minase Inori from, I don't know how to say this in English, Gotobun no Hanayome.
The quintessential quintuplets.
Yes. And Yamadera Koichi, the legend, I always say, who's Shimazaki Nobunaga, Sakamoto Days Shin.
Okay.
Yeah. Hanae Natsuki. Yeah. So there are like 3 Gotobun no Hanayome voice actors in here.
I mean, anytime you've got like a quintuplet show, you're going to need a bunch of different famous girl voice actors. So like, fair enough. But I think this is a show we haven't really gotten to this part of the show, but I think it's going to involve a lot of different heroes. And so I think they needed a pretty broad seiyuu cast for this.
So X is the top rank hero in this anime.
Right.
There's a tournament every 2 years.
Right.
And also how they become hero is from like public faith.
Yeah. Which is quantified.
Yeah,
made into a number based on like your social media likes, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is the most interesting part of the show for me, is that the hero rankings aren't decided by a hero association that's arbitrarily, or maybe not arbitrarily, but that's like giving people grades. And it doesn't seem to be quite like a fan poll. it has to do with like their, like honestly, like their social media engagement. It seems so of the moment. And that their power also comes from what their fans believe they can or can't or should or shouldn't do. So that in one of the episodes we've seen so far, particular part, the fans don't want Nice to do a particular action, and he literally cannot do it because they don't want him to, which is just a fascinating idea in terms of like where superheroes get their power. And it's a little bit comedic too, right? One of the characters we're introduced to new in the show is Mr. I think his English name is Firm Man. This hasn't been Mr. Stand is what he's called, but the like when he's introduced as a hero, in the background, there's a lot of English. Yeah. It says Firm Man, which makes him sound like a bad guy from a Mega Man game. But Firm Man or Mr. Stand, his power is holding things up, which is not that useful a power, really. But because everyone believes he can stand, and that's his name, he literally cannot sit down or lie down. And so they show the consequences of this later where he like can't go to the bathroom, and he also can't like lean over very far, and he also can't lie down to sleep. So it's sort of a bizarre world where people's faith in you determines your powers. But it's an interesting idea, and the amount of like metaphor for social media that's going on here and sort of the world of influencing and likes and shares that we currently live in is well reflected by this anime in a sort of new and exciting way.
Do you think it's reflecting the Chinese or Japanese society, environment, history? So, yeah, I mean, I think the idea of like a ranked list of heroes, which shows up in both this and One Punch Man and My Hero Academia, is definitely like rooted in Asian culture about like competition. You have to be the best, right? You must go to like the best college. You must get the top score. Like, you know, your worth as a human is directly connected to this, you know, quantifiable metric of like how good you are at whatever, right? So I think that's a layer that's for sure in there. And I don't think the show is going to critique that very hard. It could surprise me and really be like, and this is an unhealthy way for society to be. And already the show has definitely shown the burnout that comes with that type of society, where many of the people who are in the like rat race to the top, like seem to be deeply unhappy. Already one of the heroes commits suicide in the first episode, and two others like gratefully abandon their positions as heroes to live regular lives again. So there's definitely a little bit of critique going on there. I don't know if it'll critique the whole system or if it is just a commentary on burnout. But when it comes to the social media and influencing thing, one thing I should just like disclaim at the beginning here is like, I'm really not a China expert. Like I do feel like on pretty firm ground talking about Japanese culture because it is what I studied in college, and I have been to Japan a lot. But I'm not an expert in China. And so I should say that my perspective on what Chinese society like is deeply influenced by being an American and the American media and what it chooses to report about China. So grain of salt on like everything I say about China. With that said, one of the lenses that I've been really like using to watch and try to like think about this anime is that because it's a partially Chinese, like I think funded and produced show, I wonder a lot about what, you know, how much self-censorship is going on, how much the director, because I think it's the same guy who writes, produces, and directs all of these series. And the first two seemed like they were comedies. So I don't think there was a lot of social commentary going on there at all, or maybe I didn't see them, so I can't really say. But the synopses do not really suggest that, unless it's functioning on like a super meta level that like nobody else was getting. This one, I wonder, is what's he allowed to sort of say? What is this show allowed to say? How much sort of like, is there an attempted critique of Chinese society happening in this show? Or is it avoiding politics because that's safer and it's really just wants to talk about social or cultural issues? And I don't know that we have enough like on like the quote unquote government yet, other than they're referred to as the Dengol, right? The alliance. And that seems to be like, maybe that was true in some of the earlier ones too, but they kind of like avoid that. There is a lot of suggestion. Like I think one of the other commentaries that the show has is about reality TV, where the heroes seem to be scripted
to some point. Like the alliance or whoever, and his manager and other managers seem to be saying like, here's the narrative, here's the storyline, this is what we're going to show, here's how this fight's going to play out, like these are the sort of lines you have to say, where instead of actually saving the earth from real threats, it's just kind of a TV show for the masses, and everybody's popularity is sort of manipulated. And so it's exploring some of the same territory that Oshinoko did in its first season, particularly when, who's the main character, the main guy?
Aqua.
When Aqua and Akane are dating on the like love show, like it's got a lot of that same thing of like, what does it feel like to be in a role that's totally produced and have that be your quote unquote real life? What's real, what's fake, what are people covering up? How, what happens when somebody tries to expose the truth? How does that change, people's opinions? A lot of those questions and thoughts are already in the show. And so I am curious to see whether those are just convenient plot points or those are sort of embedded critiques of modern society and or specifically Chinese society. I don't know how I feel about that as a critique of Japanese society. I don't have enough of a sense of like Japanese influencers to know whether it seems like they're putting a lot into this. And I think the fact that the writer and director is Chinese means this is probably more of a commentary on China than it is on Japan, or at least that's my feeling so far.
Yeah, it was interesting. The reason why Nice can fly is because people believe
he can fly.
He can fly.
Well, I mean, he's a sort of cheat character in that he's supposed to be the perfect hero, right? They keep saying that over and over again. Right. So he like notionally can do kind of anything a perfect hero can do. I do think it's sort of interesting that in whatever world this is, the perfect hero is basically a ballet dancer. Like most of his moves are like ballet-like moves. He doesn't shoot laser beams. He doesn't have like guns. Like
he doesn't use weapons.
He's very graceful, like
Disney
skinny,
prince.
basically. Yeah, he's a Disney prince who can fly and kick things. Yeah. But he doesn't use kung fu. He doesn't touch the ground most of the time. His power set is weird, given that he's the perfect hero. Or like the
punches.
Notion that that's what a perfect hero does is kind of like an interesting. Yeah, that's right. I guess he also like manifests gauntlets every once in a while, like things on his arms. But I can't tell what culture exactly is being reflected in his perfect hero-ness, but he does have a cape that's his main accessory and like a weird glowing Iron Man doodad on his chest, right? So he's sort of a curious character in that way.
Yeah. So I wonder how the story gonna go, because now he's on the 10th rank hero, and he's gonna keep fighting, or he's not gonna be the main character anymore, or
yeah, is X gonna come steal the show?
Right.
I thought he might become X earlier, but that doesn't seem that likely.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I thought there was going to be like a time skip and he comes back as like X. X also, we've only seen him in the opening, but he looks like and is like bubble era businessman. He looks kind of like a bad guy from some other from like some other show. Yeah. He kind of looks like a Yakuza. He really reminds me of the main character from Yakuza 0, who, well, not Kiryu actually, but like he looks like a character that would show up out of that game from like the bubble era in Japan, who like trades stocks and is like a billionaire, but is like kind of shady and like really crap towards women. That's like the vibe I get from X. So I'm very curious to try and understand why the top hero would have that kind of like appearance and image. Yeah. Right. To whom is that appearance the best hero?
Right. So
I'm very curious to see where this show is going to go.
Yeah.
OTTACK, word of the day.
Why don't we do Eiyuu? Eiyuu. Hero.
Oh, Eiyuu. Sorry, I thought literally you were saying A and then U. Like, is that the cell phone company?
That's true too.
Eiyuu, hero. So there's a couple different ways to say hero in Japanese, or at least there are a number of different words in Japanese that translate to hero in English. Maybe it's because I've been watching Frieren with the anime club, but there the term for hero is yusha.
Oh, okay.
Literally brave person.
Right.
Eiyuu, the A is Eien no A, right?
No, A is English.
Oh, A is the A from England or English. And it connotes glory.
Meaning is like talented.
Talent.
Smart.
Okay. And then what about the Eiyuu?
Means man.
Just man?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, we have lots of like assumptions that the Yusha is probably a guy with a sword and a shield, but at least it could be a woman. It's not written into the characters. So Eiyuu means talented man.
Yeah. So you don't really say Eiyuu referring woman.
Interesting. What would you say instead?
So you know what? And I was like, I have no idea how to say heroine in Japanese.
Heroine?
Heroine, sorry. And I Googled it. I don't think many people use it. Joketsu.
I've never heard that word before. I've never heard of it before.
And it sounds terrible.
Yeah. Jo is female.
Yeah.
And ketsu?
Yeah.
I can only think of kitsuna, which means butthole.
Have you heard of kissaku? Like a movie, anime kissaku? Like
perfect?
Epic.
Yeah.
It's like that kitsu. But like kitsu sounds so bad.
Yeah.
Like butt.
Yes.
So joketsu sounds terrible.
Yeah, that's not... They should definitely get started on a new word for that.
That's why we call it hero and the heroine.
I mean, that's easy for me, but it also feels like lazy to like not have your own culture's word for hero.
Yeah, I didn't notice until I Googled today. I was like, wait, there's no word for
heroine.
Heroine, yeah.
That's messed up.
But that's how it's written. Hero is talented man.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, Yusha is better than, right?
Yusha doesn't decide gender, I think.
Brave one.
Yeah, brave one.
What's the... Yeah, I think like when they do like an isekai and like a bunch of like 4 people, like I'm actually thinking of the cheat skill in another world with the Rakuten one where he just like buys things on Amazon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
In that one, in the very, very beginning, when he warps into he gets like, in the isekai, there's like 3 or 4 other people who come with him. And like, it's like half boys and girls and they're all Yusha, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And he's like, I don't want to be a Yusha. I got like the appraisal skill and like also Instacart or whatever. Like
that would be me. That's how I would survive in isekai. You know what? It doesn't have to be. I can make everything from scratch.
Yeah, exactly. You would just be like a normal artisan in the isekai world, being like, this is cool.
Yeah.
So sustainable.
Right. All right. Is there anything you'd like to add before we end?
I am really curious to see where the series goes. Maybe I'm just putting too much into it right now in terms of trying to read like additional social commentary on top of what's already there. But if it keeps going in the direction it's going already, I feel like it's going to give us lots of really interesting things to say and think about. And it's making me sad I can't read Chinese because I would love to look at what serious Chinese intellectuals think about what this show is trying to say.
I see. So we watched this in Japanese, all in Japanese.
Yes.
So the main character's name is Nice. And I keep wondering how it's going to sound like in English or translated in English.
Like, are they going to actually use the name Nice?
Yeah, because like when Nice does something bad or unpredictable, people are like, Nice!
I hope they just keep it because it's funny.
It's so funny, right?
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I can imagine them naming him just like Nice Guy, but I wonder what they're going to call Firm Man. Firm Man sounds like he either works for is a lawyer or is like a Mega Man bad guy, but for sure is one of the two. Yeah. I don't know like what he helps you do in Mega Man though. Like he helps you not be able to crouch anymore. Like it's like a hard mode thing to like get Firm Man's power and now you can't duck or slide. You've never played Mega Man, huh?
No.
Okay,
I think it's streaming on Crunchyroll and the other streaming services.
Oh, good. Okay.
So I'm curious to know what it's like or what it sounds like in English.
You'd have to pay for Crunchyroll to find out.
Yeah, please.
Sponsor us. Then we'll talk about Crunchyroll anime, not just Netflix.
Right. We are focusing on Netflix. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you liked this week's episode, please give us good reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or like and leave a comment on YouTube. See you next time for more 2 AM OTTACK.
Peace.